Hey guys, what's up? I'm Speo with the Voice of Reason, and today I'd like to give you a quick overview over the Kilohearts One subtractive synthesizer rack extension. Now, I already put together a track using only the Kilohearts One for all synth sounds, so I'm now just gonna give you a quick listen to this track to show you guys what the One can do.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You get the gist. Now let me just quickly explain some of the functionalities on the One. So as the name suggests, the One is an subtractive synthesizer, which means that we have our basic layout going. We've got an oscillator section running through an envelope into a filter, into a shaper, and then into yet another filter, and then out the master output. We also have a couple of effects and a lot of modulation possibilities down here. So the possibilities are endless, really. On the oscillator section, we've got our basic waves. So we've got a sawtooth wave, which sounds really cool. Then we've got a pulse wave. And noise. And what's especially cool about this noise is that it actually pitches with the keys you play. So we've got a low noise and a high noise, depending on what keys you play, and that allows for some cool experimentation as well. Next up, we've got these really cool knobs right here that I like a lot, which are called shape and sync, and which just change the way the waves sound. So if I just play with them a little, I love that sound right there. Yeah, so that's really cool. Then we've got our gain setting right here and the basic pitching stuff. So we can set the octave, the semitone, and the cent. Then we've got for oscillator 2 an exact replica of the first oscillator. And last but not least, we have a sub oscillator, which plays a triangle wave, I'm pretty sure. And which can also be changed in the way it sounds with the shape knob right here. So if I just bring it up. You can hear it just fattens up the sound, which is always a good thing, of course. Then we've got our basic attack, decay, sustain, and release envelope. And then we have a very cool filter, which has the basic low pass, high pass, and band pass settings, but also an especially cool setting, which is the Vox filter. And I love it a lot because it just has this really cool sound to it. Just listen. I just want to chuck this synth in a combinator right now and just layer it with a lot of cool stuff, but have the Vox filter really loud and just make this cool basic yai sound, which I like so much. I'm definitely gonna use that a lot in different kind of glitch hop production stuff because the Vox filter just sounds really cool. It's kind of like the Foreman filter on the Thor, but it sounds a bit kind of more human. I dig it a lot. But we'll have time for experimentation later on. So next up, we've got the shaper, which sounds really cool as well. We've got a couple of different shaping waves. So we've got this one right here. I can't really describe it. Then we've got a sine wave shaper, a kind of step shaper, and then this wave up here. So a lot of different possibilities with the shaper as well. Then we've got the filter 2, which is an exact replica of the filter 1, which allows for some cool double filtering techniques and for a lot of cool experimentation stuff. And yeah, that's it for the basic chain right here. Then we've got our basic effects. So we've got a chorus going with the usual settings, so we can mix it in with the dry wet knob right here. Then we've got width, depth, and the delay and rate. The chorus is always a great way to introduce some stereo elements into your synth. And then we've got the delay effect, which we can dial in with the send knob right here. And we've got the basic delay stuff. So we got a time, a feedback, and a width slider. The width kind of changes the delay into a ping pong delay, I'm pretty sure. Which sounds very nice as well. So yeah, that's it for the effect section. What modulation is concerned, we have lots of possibilities as well. We've got the more envelope, which I always dig. We've got 3 slots with a lot of different parameters we can assign to the more envelope. So for example, if I just hook up the sync and bring up the amount, that already sounds darn cool, I'd say. Sweet stuff. Next up, we've got the velocity, which is especially cool. We can simply assign the velocity to all of these different parameters, which allows for some very cool experimentation and kind of jamming. If you just, if you kind of use the velocity, for example, to control the pitch of an oscillator, that is pretty cool thing, I'd say, if you just jam out a bit. Next up, we've got the voice LFO, which can be assigned to all parameters concerning the voice oscillator, the sub oscillator, or the filter and the shaper. And then we've got the global LFO, which can be assigned to all of these parameters, which I think are all parameters on the synth. And the global LFO has a really cool setting as well, which is the sample and hold button right here. Because if I hit that and I'll assign the voice LFO to the oscillator 1 pitch, every time I hit a key, the position of the LFO will be held. And that allows for some really cool stuff as well. If I bring up the depth and the rate a bit, you'll be able to hear it. Now I'm always playing the same key, it just always samples the position where the LFO is at the moment I hit the key, and it holds it right there, and it sounds pretty cool. I'm just always hitting E2 right here. That's a pretty cool sound right there as well, I'd say. Yeah, and then we've got the mod wheel, which can be assigned in the usual manner. And then, which is especially cool, we've had on the master route, we've got a lot of different options. So we can actually have boost the treble and the bass with an equalizer-like structure right here. We can even set the cutoff frequency for the treble and bass. And then we even have a limiter, so we can't clip the signal that's coming out of the KHs. So a lot of functionality and a lot of really cool features on the One, and I'm definitely going to use the synth a lot. If we flip the rack around, we can see that we've got CV inputs for all parameters, which is damn awesome. And we have even the basic sequencer stuff, so we can hook up an arpeggio or any other thing, really. Yeah, that's it for the features on the KHs One. I still have a couple of things I'd like to show you guys, which are some of the patches I made for the track I made with only the Kilohearts One Synth. So for example, right here we have the, if I can find it, the vowel growl, which is kind of the main growl in the track. And as you can see, it's a basic patch. We've got we only have one sawtooth. I brought the other one down. We have one low sawtooth and a sub. So we have a fat sound going. And then what's the actual cool thing is what I did in the track was I automated the drive on the shaper, which is on sine wave, and the filter 2 frequency, which is on low pass with a lot of resonance. And I can do this now really quickly by just combining this KHs One and routing the rotary 1 to the shaper drive, and once again the rotary 1 to the filter 2 frequency. And now we already have our nice kind of a growl knob right here. So basically what I'm trying to say is it's usually a good idea to automate things you wouldn't usually automate, like the shaper drive. But in this case it sounds really cool, I'd say, with the sine shaper going on, the mix up at halfway, and some resonance on the low pass wobble. We have a really cool sound going. Of course, what you'd do next is you'd run it through a tape distortion and boost some of the highs. And there is the main growl in my track 1. It's really not much more than that. Another patch I made with the KHS1, you can, by the way, download all these patches as part of the KHS1 301 refill, which is now available in the Propeller user forum. I'll put a link down in the description. I made 10 patches for this refill, which you can easily find when you download it. And one of these patches is the gated ARP I made for the track as well. It's important that you hit run pattern, because otherwise you can't hear the ARP at all. Perhaps you recognize the sound. It's the main kind of melody that plays before the drop. And it has a very similar setup to the one I explained, I think, last week with the gated ARP. So what I did was I routed the gate output of the matrix into the filter cutoff CV input on the KHS1. And then I really just put the cutoff all the way down, so it only goes up when these gates up here are up. And then together with this arpeggio, that allows for some really cool kind of melody jamming by just holding down chords, sorry. So yeah, that's always a good idea. So the KHS1 on this patch is really a very simple patch. So we've got only the OSC1 turn on and a little bit of OSC2, which is a sawtooth 1 octave below the first one. But what's very, very important in this patch right here is the voice, because I forgot to mention that actually in the first run through, we've got a very cool sounding unison on the KHS1 as well. So we can have the voices up to 8. So we've got 8 voices in total, which you can spread across the stereo field and detune them against each other. And they sound really nice. Yeah, I actually forgot to talk about that in the first run through. It's one of the most amazing features for me, this unison, because it just turns a simple wave into this massive sound. And I like to use that quite a lot. Yeah, so these are some examples for the Kilohearts One Synth. I hope this tutorial was useful. It was not really a tutorial, but I hope this kind of overview was useful in your decision whether you should get the synth or not. I'd definitely recommend it. It's an awesome sounding synth. That's basically all there is to say. Anyway, that's it. My name's been Speo. This was The Voice of Reason. There's a link to the KHS1 Propellerhead shop site in the description. Have a good one of whatever you're having.